All right, boys, so first thing I want to say is I apologize for the lack of content, or the rather slowing down of content. I had to go back to work. I took some time off for Witch Queen, but now that that time off has come to an end, I have to go back to work, so content will start to slow down a little bit, but don't worry, it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to come out at a slower pace. But anyways, I got the new exotic Warlock Glaive, Edge of Intent. Now before I go any further, I know someone's going to ask in the comments, yes, it does proc Benevolent Dawn when you're using Well of Radiance Warlock. Now for this build, I'm not going to be using a pure healer build, although I will make a build like that in the future. But this one, I have another idea, and I actually have been having a lot of fun, and it does really well in endgame content. I just want to say that Edge of Intent, and I feel like all the other exotic glaives, are going to scale very nicely when it comes to harder content, because in easy content, you know, you don't really need the healing, or you don't really need the extra bubble for the Titan Glaive or whatever. But when it comes to harder content and things do more damage, and you can kind of set up a little area where you're going to fight enemies, the healing turret and my build here with stasis turrets is just, it's super crazy. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the build. So for this build, I'm going to be on shadebinder. I'm going to be using cold snap grenades. It is important that you use cold snap grenades for this build, because this build also utilizes osmiomancy gloves, which give you double cold snap grenades, meaning I can have double stasis turrets. Now speaking of stasis turrets, for my aspects, I am using glacial harvest, so when I freeze a target, I generate a stasis shard. It's going to be very important for this build. And then we're also using bleak watcher. This is for the stasis turrets. For the fragments, I am using Whisper of Rhyme, Whisper of Conduction, Whisper of Fissures, and Whisper of Torment. Now for this build, I highly recommend using a primary weapon with Demolitionist. I happen to have the new SMG from the raid, Submission. I have Subsistence Demolitionist and the Soul Drinker Intrinsic perk. This is a fantastic SMG. I highly recommend going and getting it, but obviously the main focal point of this build is the new exotic Warlock Glaive, Edge of Intent. So the way the glaive works is, as you're doing damage with the range attack on the glaive, like the little gun part, you're gonna generate weapon energy. And when your weapon energy is full, you can then proc Restorative Turret, which states that when your weapon energy is full, consume it before firing to make your next shot deploy healing turret on impact. Now this works just like the Bleak Watcher stasis turret, but it is a healing turret. So when you shoot down on the ground, it is then going to shoot little healing projectiles towards you and your teammates, and they'll heal you pretty much to full health. If not, you're right underneath full health. It works just like how you would think. I place it down kind of like near me and my teammates, and I also put down stasis turrets to freeze anything coming at us, healing us. This is a really good glaive. I've been kind of down on glaives. I'm not really a big fan of them, but I'm really liking this exotic one, because the fact that it has a lot more utility than just the normal glaives. Now this weapon is craftable. I personally am trying to level it up so I can put whatever I need to increase that reload speed to the maximum it can go, because this thing really needs a lot of reload speed. It only has 4 shots in the magazine, so getting up that energy for the stasis turret, or sorry, for the healing turret, is going to take a little bit of work. If there's like a chunky enemy, it does really nice like that, or if there's a lot of ads and you can land these shots easily on them, it's very good in that regard. But anything to increase that reload speed will help this glaive a lot. So I have 100 recovery and 100 discipline. I personally like running 100 discipline with stasis turrets. Maybe it's a bit overkill with all the mods and the demolitionist weapon and the osmiomancy gloves, but I don't really care. Maybe if you want to try 100 strength, then maybe it might be a little better, but I'm running 100 recovery, 100 discipline, and again, I'm using the osmiomancy gloves. And I found that the best way to utilize these gloves to its maximum potential is to throw out one stasis turret, and then your next grenade have it be the direct impact. So it's not a stasis turret, so you throw it, hit an enemy that is going to track to them and freeze them. You're going to have pretty much full grenade energy again, throw another stasis turret, and then throw your next grenade to have it be another direct impact cold snap. Now this will have you freezing everything, a lot of stasis turrets, and you're never really going to run out of grenade energy as long as you keep that cycle going. Now moving on to the mods, I'm using elemental charge, elemental shards, 2 stacks of bomber, and 3 stacks of firepower. Due to glacial harvest, I'll be spawning stasis shards whenever I freeze an enemy, which is going to be very easy with this build because of cold snap grenades and stasis turrets. Whenever I pick up these stasis shards, I'm going to become charger light because of elemental charge, which will allow me to take advantage of firepower, which states that upon using my grenade when charger light, I get a bunch of grenade energy in return based on how many stacks I have. I have 3 stacks, so this is going to give me roughly maybe just a tiny bit under half my grenade energy in return. I also have 2 stacks of bomber, which is going to allow me to get grenade energy whenever I pop my rift. The best way to play with this build to get the maximum value out of it is you really want to play more of a supportive role, because you're really just going to be focusing on throwing out the stasis turrets and getting enough glaive energy so you can spawn the healing turret. So your main focus is crowd control and healing your teammates and healing yourself, keeping everyone alive and freezing the enemies. It's not really much of an offensive build, although it can be, because I mean, freezing enemies and shattering them does do a lot of damage and is very good for ad clear. But mainly you're going to be getting the glaive energy up to put the healing turret down, and making sure you charge your light so you can keep spawning stasis turrets and keep throwing out cold snap grenades to freeze enemies. Anyways, I hope you guys like this content. I hope you guys like this build. Definitely give it a try and go ahead and get your exotic glaive for whatever class you play. I plan on getting all of them for every class. So if you want to build using the new exotic glaive for your specific class, definitely hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and be on the lookout for those future videos. Deuces.